have to think outside the box. I understand that completely. But for people who don't understand this, non-TIs, people who've never heard of it, if we attach it to those archetypes that already exist, that's where their mind's headed. Their mind's not headed towards that New York Times article. You know, they're going to then start seeing this as a political movement, as political campaigning for our lives, and not just conspiracy theory or delusional disorder. So it is very important to attach it to archetypes that we already know have been successful. So that's a lot where my plan comes from. You know, the timing of when we meet too, but the location and the archetype by which we go by is very, very important to what I have planned. And I don't, you know, protesting and activism works anywhere. I'll agree with that, but this would strike a blow to this program if we can attach it right to the right archetype. And an archetype is just something that has happened before that's really worked, and people's minds go towards freedom when they think about, you know, what Martin Luther King did, the Million Man March. Their minds are attached to he won freedom because of that. He talked about, you know, getting blacks and whites equal, and he did it. I mean, that pushed them forward immeasurably. Here's another EMS worker coming up. I don't know if I'll get it because of the green light. I have to go. But another EMS worker. They really go for those EMS workers in mind, because they know that pisses me off. Because it's like an EMS worker caravanning, you know, somebody being microwaved, somebody in need of medical help. They know that that's so crazy that it really makes me angry. So they do it a lot to me. They maybe do EMS workers more than they do, you know, police caravanning me. Well, no, probably not, because the police are out patrolling, but they have enough EMS workers where they are. That's definitely an important thing to them, to drive EMS workers in front of me. Kind of laughing at me, saying that I don't deserve medical treatment while I'm being murdered. And that's on July 4th. I've seen 3 EMS workers. One of them had their lights on, though, and they were going somewhere real, so it had nothing to do with me. But 2 of them didn't, and they were at weird places, like that one that I just got on tape. And I've gotten the last 2 on tape. I hope you guys are doing good. Like, I got to get something to eat. There's an American flag on the back of the Jeep. Happy July 4th. See, he may not be a stalker or anything. He may just be celebrating July 4th. And that's great. American flags are great for that. But I've had stalkers who, you know, have the flags on the side of their trailers and stuff like that. Sorry, I am kind of fumbling with words. I watch my earlier videos, and it kind of scares me a little bit, because I watch my earlier videos and, like, I speak a little bit more eloquently. My thoughts, you know, are pieced together. And here's a one light. There he is. It's a one light SUV, black with a little trailer in right there. I think I'm going to see a lot more stalking on July 4th, vehicular stalking. I think that there's a celebration of this, especially for people who don't know about it. You know, my microwave torture wasn't as bad last night or today. It hasn't. The V2K has been bad, but the torturing of my body hasn't been the worst. So I don't know if they've kind of backed off of it for July 4th. I don't really know if it's something that I did, you know, defenses that I had on. I'm not really sure, but, you know, that is a glimmer of hope if they did kind of let off of it a little bit, you know, for July 4th. If maybe they do have something in there kind of wriggling around, you know, that's American, that wants to stop. I don't know if I have a lot of hope in that. But, you know, we got to cling to things like that, and never let go that, you know, there's good in everybody. Ugh, saying that, I mean, people who torture people in their sleep, is there still good in them? I don't know, I'll just get off of that topic. But I missed Neil's call last night. I've been sleeping a lot more, so whatever, usually they'll wake me up and I don't get a lot of sleep. I'll sleep in like 3-hour intervals. They're in a cycle where they're making me sleep for like 12 hours, and they're just keeping me asleep. And I watched Brian Two's videos on that kind of after it started, and he says they kind of have cycles where, they'll sleep deprive you for a while, but then they want to make it so you sleep longer in certain cycles of this torture to kind of condition your mind, to get the remote neural monitoring maybe synced up better or something like that. He has a lot of information that goes over my head. He talks a lot about a supercomputer, the remote neural monitoring computer that does this. I really can't go there. I think a lot of it's automated, but it's driven by humans. Like a lot of because they have to target, even though these are slightly motion compensating, well, not slightly motion compensating, a lot of this is very motion compensating. If they put it on one part of your body, it's still not automated to where it's I just cannot believe an artificial intelligence, is doing this. It takes a lot of guys, on shifts with this equipment. And I have a lot of reasons for believing that, a lot of evidence in my own targeting. But y'all go ahead, comment on that. I know that is, some TIs think it is more automated than I think. And they actually have a program that can, run the V2K dialogue and kind of react to even your thoughts or, when you speak or do things. I don't believe that. I hear very specific things from my V2K. I know they loop it a lot, but at certain times it's like they very specifically react to things that I think or say. So an artificial intelligence would not be able to do that. And if an artificial intelligence could know us and be programmed to, torture good Americans, then it would find more targets. It would, artificial intelligence means that it could grow and do more things. So automated, I believe a little bit. This software does get, pretty automated, where they can automate things. They don't have to stay on top of target. If they target you in the shoulder, they don't have to keep targeting it like a video game. It does have motion compensating because the software and the targeting system, has that. But artificial intelligence, I don't think so. I just, automated software, yeah. V2K looping, yeah. But an artificial intelligence that actually, predicts who we are and stuff like that, you'd see a lot of different stuff. If there was programming that was that complicated with AI, you would see it doing, and there's a U.S. Air Force license tag. That guy may not know anything about a black truck. They have been doing that since I've been talking about colors. And this is, I'll just go ahead, I'll be transparent. I kind of get worried about doing this because I know what they're trying to do. After I talk about something, like I'll talk about a color campaign or something like that, or, I told them, I was like, hey, why don't you use black and white trucks? Then they'll start doing it. They'll start actually using white and black cars around me. And what happens is when I talk about it, and they do that for a couple of reasons. They do it because, they think it will bother me. But then the second thing they do it for is because if I talk about that on a video, if I'm like, oh, well, I talked about this on one of my videos, and then I started to see it, then people who are non-TIs will be like, well, that's how, schizophrenia works. So they do a lot of this stuff to be funneled into a category of where you are discredited and you look like you're insane. They have a hard time doing that to me because, like, I do speak coherently even when I'm hurt. But if they can do something like that, like if they can, after I, talk about something, I start seeing it more, and then I relay that information to you guys, they can discredit me. People can be like, oh, well, you're making that happen. You're seeing it after you talked about it, and that's how it's occurring. But that's not it at all. These guys are really, they try and throw everything in the bucket of discrediting us and making us look crazy while they torture us. And I mean, I had seen a lot, I see a lot of black trucks in my stalking, which I don't think is a color campaign. I think the black trucks, to me, there are a lot of people who gang stalk, or they carry around weapons, these microwave weapons. They have black trucks not because they're running a black truck color campaign. It's because they think it's covert, or they're into death. They're into that kind of Punisher. I've seen a lot of Punisher stickers on people who are gang stalking me because they're like, in their delusional heads, and there's a one light car right there. In their heads, they're like, they're the Punisher, and they're killing zombies, or something like that. Huge delusions where they're murdering Americans, and they have really dangerous delusions in their head, and then they're saying that we're delusional. I read comic books. Like, I've been reading this, Spider-Man comic book that my psychiatrist recommended to me. And it's really cool. It's like, a lot of the Spider-Men from all over the multiverse come together and fight. And, it does. Like, I read it and I'm like, man, that's awesome. It's like they're fighting these guys who are trying to suck the life out of them. Going around to the different Spider-Men. It does. It gives me an emotion of like, we're all kind of like that, and we're coming together to fight these evil guys who are basically feeding on our lives, in one way or the other. They're like either doing it financially, and there's a white car, if you can see it with one light right there. We'll get him. What kind of person is it? Green light. But yeah, I read those things. I'm a writer, and I read those things. They touch my heart. I don't have something in my mind where I think that I'm actually Spider-Man or anything like that. But on my V2K, they're like, oh, he's schizophrenic. He's tripping out. He's hallucinating. He thinks he's Spider-Man. They do that a lot to me. When I connect with things like in a movie or a comic book. They really want to make that connection because those are things that strengthen me, and they strengthen me in a healthy way. I don't think I'm Spider-Man or Superman or Wolverine or Captain America, but I love those characters, or Iron Man. I love those characters. They're strong, and it's like I see strength in that, and then I try and bring it out into my regular life. I don't think I'm gonna spin a web and fly around on a web or fly like Superman or something like that. But I do realize that we have to, as target individuals, we're fighting something very different. We have to find our inner strength. And the one thing that, like, all these superheroes that I read about, my family are superheroes to me, they find their inner strength no matter what. And a lot of times when they lose their powers, they're bigger superheroes than when they have their powers. But it's, those things are metaphorical because I'm a writer. And what I've learned about these murders, they're very literal. And they're actually literal to the point where they'll take something benign and make it even darker and worse. Saying that and there was a one light black car right there. I didn't quite get it. Yeah, so a lot of stalking, a lot of vehicular stalking on July 4th. But what I've noticed about people who kill, these people specifically who torture and kill, they're very literal. And what that does is they're like saying, oh, this guy's good, but then and there's a stoplight on me. So it looks like the stalking is proceeding. And actually, it's kind of ramped up on July 4th. Sad. It's very sad. But, they're trying to make us look like terrorists or crazy people or domestic threats to our nation, so on July 4th they would celebrate by hurting us more. The sad fact of it is, though, is that we're just innocent Americans, and, we have families, and we love our country, too. But in their delusion world, their lie, false flag world, it would be a celebration, because, they're making us out to be hated, and we're against America or something like that. So it would work like this. There would be more stalking on July 4th. But going back to, they're so literal that, the way that I will see something hopeful, like I'll see a Spider-Man comic